Hi class, I just wanted to talk to you real fast about some of the Indian achievements that were made in ancient India. The first one dealt with Sanskrit literature. Now Sanskrit literature was the writings of the Indians that wrote in Sanskrit. Now one of the most important parts of Sanskrit literature was a book called the Mahabharata. It is one of the world's longest literary works. It's a story about two Indian families struggling to control a kingdom. It was kind of like the modern day version of Lord of the Rings or anything that's been on TV where you have two sides pitted against each other. Perfect example, Star Wars. Now, one of the things within this though is that it outlined many long passages dealing with Hindu beliefs and practices. Now, another work of literature was the Ramayana. It was a story of the god Vishnu, who had taken human form. It was written long after the previous one, but it contained models of the ideal ruler named Rama and his ideal mate. Now, another one of the Sanskrit literature was hired by Chandragupta II, who hired a writer named Kalidasa, who wrote a play for his royal court. Now this book was intended to be teachings of moral lessons and quick thinking, which was then translated in many other languages. Now that story they kind of mirror a lot of Aesop's fables and some of the Brothers Grimm fables, where there was always a lesson or moral at the very end. Now, talking about their scientific advances, the Indians were the group that founded the idea of metallurgy, or working with metal, where you could add other metals to make an alloy, a stronger type of material. Now today we add certain things into steel to make steel even stronger. One of the other concepts that the Indians worked on was mathematics. The biggest thing that they introduced was the concept of zero. Now you can show many things, but showing that you have nothing was a big change. And they also came up with a very sophisticated numbering system called the Hindu-Arabic numbering system. We still use that today because it was brought over to Europe and the Europeans adopted it too. It's the same as our counting system we have today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. On the side of medicine, they came up with some pretty amazing things. They started actually making textbooks dealing with medical procedures starting in the 100 AD. We don't start writing down ours until the Renaissance time period, pretty much. They also practice a thing called inoculations. Inoculations is where you give the person a little bit of the disease over a period of time so their body builds up an immunity against it. Now, we still do that today. Another thing that they also did was they did pretty successful surgeries. They did brain surgery. They had surgeries where it was documented that they actually removed someone's tonsils. That's a pretty tricky surgery nowadays, but it still is done. On the field of astronomy, the Indians they actually were able to find 7 of our current 9 planets. Yes, I include Pluto as one of our planets. But they were able to find those. They were so ingenious, they didn't even have to use telescopes to find those planets. We find them later on as Europeans through Galileo and Copernicus. And one of the other cool things that they were able to do, they were able to actually predict eclipses of the moon and the sun. So that is pretty cool that they can actually do that back in the ancient time period. So that's just a quick little let's say a quick little shot of what the Indian achievements were. Hope you enjoyed this quick little video, and I will talk to y'all later.